Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today we will discuss William Shakespeare's sonnet number 130. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Sonnet 130. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Published in 1609. William Shakespeare, 1564-1616. Form and structure. Sonnet 130 is one of Shakespeare's 154 sonnets and it follows the English or Shakespearean sonnet form. It comprises 14 lines written in iambic pentameter with the conventional rhyme scheme of AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. This structured form allows Shakespeare to build his argument methodically through comparison and contrast. Content and tone of the poem. Unlike many of her contemporaries, Sonnet 130 adopts a notable realistic tone in its portrayal of the speaker's mistress. Instead of idealizing her with hyperbolic metaphors typical of the Petrarchan tradition, the poem employs a series of understated, almost mundane comparisons. Her eyes are nothing like the sun, her lips are not as red as coral, and her breath is not like a perfume. The tone is refreshingly candid and even subversive, challenging conventional beauty standards while affirming that genuine love does not depend on exaggerated praise. Now let's analyze the central themes of the poem. The poem addresses themes of true love versus idealized love. It critiques the artificial comparisons found in traditional love poetry by presenting an unadorned, honest depiction of a woman who is far from unrealistic standards of beauty. Ultimately, Shakespeare argues that love is more profound and genuine when it acknowledges real human traits rather than relying on false or exaggerated imagery. Now let's have a look at the background of the poem. Literary context. Written during the Renaissance, that is a period in which Petrarchan sonnets were highly popular, sonnet number 130 stands out by deliberately rejecting the idealized imagery common in that genre. Whereas traditional sonnets often compare a beloved's features to divine or nature-inspired ideals, for example, eyes like the sun, lips like roses, etc., Shakespeare opts for a more grounded and realistic portrayal. Purpose and innovation. Scholars generally see sonnet number 130 as a witty and innovative response to the conventions of courtly love poetry. Rather than elevating his mistress through impossible comparisons, Shakespeare acknowledges her natural, unembellished qualities. This approach not only critiques the excesses of conventional praise, but also suggests that true love is not dependent on hyperbolic declarations of beauty. Publication and reception. Published as part of the 1609 quarto of Shakespeare's sonnets, Sonnet 130 has since been celebrated for its irony, humor, and a striking departure from established norms. Its unorthodox approach has made it a favorite subject for discussions on realism in love poetry and a prime example of Shakespeare's inventive style. Now let's have a look at the critical interpretations. Parody versus sincerity. One major debate among critics is whether sonnet 130 is meant as a parody of the traditional love sonnet or as a sincere expression of a more mature, realistic form of love. Some argue that Shakespeare is playfully mocking the cliché comparisons of that time, while others contend that the poem's straightforward language and an affectionate conclusion indicate genuine admiration for the mistress as she is. Realism and authenticity. Many critics praise the sonnet for its realistic portrayal of human beauty, arguing that its strength lies in its rejection of idealized imagery. By presenting a woman in a true-to-life manner, Shakespeare elevates the notion that authentic love values the real person rather than an unattainable ideal. This perspective has resonated with modern readers and scholars who favor authenticity over artifice in literary expression. Subversion of tradition. Sonnet 130 is often seen as a subversion of the conventional Petrarchan sonnet, and it has been influential in shaping later poetic expressions of love that embrace realism. Critics note that by deconstructing traditional metaphors, for example, declaring that coral is more red than her lips red, Shakespeare not only undermines established poetic norms, but also invites readers to reconsider the criteria by which beauty and love are judged. Irony and humor. The poem's irony is a focal point of much critical analysis. The understated humor in lines like, "And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks," has been interpreted as both a playful jab at conventional beauty standards and a demonstration of the poet's wit. This dual layer of meaning, that is, blunting humor with a sincere affection, further enriches the poem and contributes to its lasting impact. Modern readings. Contemporary critics often appreciate sonnet number 130 for its progressive take on love and beauty. In an era when traditional beauty standards are frequently questioned, the poem's honest, even if unflattering description of the mistress is seen as a celebration of individuality. This modern resonance has ensured the poem's continued relevance and popularity in discussions of literary aesthetics. Now let's go to the line-by-line summary of the poem. Line first. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. In this opening line, the speaker immediately sets a realistic tone by rejecting the hyperbolic comparisons typical of conventional love poetry. Instead of idealizing his mistress, he claims that her eyes do not shine with the brilliance of the sun, suggesting a down-to-earth and unembellished beauty. Line number 2. Coral is far more red than her lips red. Here the speaker contrasts his mistress' lips with a coral, asserting that natural coral exhibits a richer, more intense red than her lips. This comparison undermines the conventional metaphor that idealizes a lover's lips as the epitome of scarlet beauty, thus favoring honesty over exaggerated flattery. Line number 3. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun? In this line, the poet plays with a conditional comparison. If snow represents ideal whiteness, then his mistress' breasts fall short, being dun, a dull greyish brown. The effect is both humorous and candid, as he deliberately distances his description from the unrealistic, overly romanticized images common in other sonnets. Line number 4. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. The speaker continues his unorthodox imagery by comparing her hair to wires, noting that instead of soft golden strands, she has black wires on her head. This blunt and almost mechanical image challenges the flowery descriptions of beauty, emphasizing a natural, unadorned appearance rather than an idealized one. Line 5. I have seen roses damasked red and white. Here the speaker recalls having seen exquisite roses with a mix of red and white, a traditional symbol of delicate beauty. By invoking such vivid natural imagery, he sets up the standard by which beauty is usually measured, hinting that his mistress does not conform to these conventional ideals. Line 6. But in no such roses see I in her cheeks. Immediately following the previous line, the poet admits that he does not see the idealized rosy flush in his mistress' cheeks that one might expect. This continuation reinforces his overall point that his love is not based on false comparisons but on an honest appraisal of her natural, if unconventional, beauty. Line 7. And in some perfumes is the more delight. In this line, the speaker acknowledges that some perfumes are more delightful than the natural scent associated with his mistress. The comparison again plays on sensory expectation, suggesting that even scent, often used to elevate a lover's allure, is not as enchanting in her case. Line number 8. Than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. Here the blunt word reeks disrupts the reader's expectation by implying that her breath lacks the sweet quality often praised in other poetic traditions. This raw honesty is striking and deliberately contrasts with the hyperbolic adoration found in typical love sonnets, emphasizing truth over artifice. Line number 9. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know. Despite the series of unflattering comparisons in the preceding lines, the speaker asserts his genuine affection by admitting his love for her voice. This line begins to pivot the poem from mere criticism of cliché comparisons toward a more sincere celebration of his mistress' individuality. Now line 10. That music had a far more pleasing sound. Here he concedes that music is inherently more delightful than the sound of his mistress' speech. By doing so, he acknowledges that his admiration is not based on conventional beauty but on deeper, more personal connection that transcends superficial qualities. Line number 11. I grant I never saw a goddess go. In this admiration, the speaker confesses that he has never witnessed a goddess, that is, an archetype of perfection, walking by. This line further distances his beloved from the unrealistic comparisons often used in poetic tradition, positioning her as a real, mortal woman rather than an unattainable divine figure. Line 12. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. The image here is grounded and a literal. His mistress walks on the earth like any ordinary person without the ethereal qualities ascribed to idealized figures. This straightforward observation reinforces the overall theme of the sonnet, that is, that a true lover does not rely on fanciful comparisons or inflated praise. Line 13. And yet, by heaven, I think my love as rare. In this pivotal line, the speaker makes a surprising turn by affirming that, despite her lack of conventional beauty, his love for her is unique and precious. The exclamation, that is, by heaven, emphasizes his heartfelt conviction, suggesting that the rarity of his love lies precisely in its honest, unembellished nature. Line 14. As any, she belied with a false compare. The final line concludes the poem by contrasting his sincere love with the false comparisons commonly found in other sonnets. The phrase false compare criticizes the conventional hyperbolic metaphors that devalue true affection, and it reaffirms that his love, that is rooted in authenticity, is as rare and valuable as any idealized beauty might be.